Hey Personal, this is Tara. Today I'm going to be working on a special hop. This is a new hop to me, but it's been going on for, I think, since 2018 or 19. I'll have to look that up to be absolutely sure on that. We are to be scrapbooking back to school style photos, and the thumbnail says something about puns, and I love puns. I didn't really think of a good one for a title, but maybe you'll disagree and think that my silly title is perfect. I don't know. These are photos of my granddaughter Scarlett. She is entering the 5th grade this year, and these are her first day of school's photos. And this is a photo that was taken on open house night, and so it's her and her little sister standing in front of the Welcome Back Freedom Tigers, which is the school she goes to and the mascot of her school. So I am going to be attempting to use academia. This is a brand new collection, and I really love it. I love everything about this collection. I have not opened any of this, so I don't know exactly what I'm going to be using. So it's going to be a surprise to both of us. But I'm going to go ahead and pause. I'm going to make some choices and some decisions here, and I will be right back. So I'm wondering if the rest of you have trouble digging into a new collection for the very first time. Man, I've really struggled choosing paper, and I had to keep reminding myself, you bought 2 packs of this paper. It's okay to cut into them. I know I'm silly, but I really do love this paper. I'm cutting off the branding strips, and you'll notice that my trimmer is cutting like butter again. I mentioned in yesterday's video, or Tuesday's video, that I was having trouble with my trimmer and ended up having to change my blade. My blade had 2 triangle-shaped notches in it from, I guess, beating up against the paper in that gutter. So I'm cutting apart the cut-apart sheet into strips so that I can grab the 5th grade one. That is the grade that she is going into, and I'm going to be using that on the layout, not necessarily as the title. And I've chosen this piece of pattern paper. So what I'm doing first is something that most of the time I do this off camera. I will look at a piece of paper and I will put my photos down on it first, just to see if I like where things are going to end. And so here's where I start playing with that cut apart card. It does not end up there. I'm just, like I said, I am just looking around trying to decide where it's going to go. I'm going to take this green grid paper. Who doesn't love this paper? I adore this paper. I have some basic gray paper that is more of a chalkboard color, or had. I don't know that I still have. It might be gone. But that's what that paper reminds me of, is that basic gray paper that I bought ages ago and hoarded forever. So I'm going to mat the photos in one single piece. I'm not going to cut 3 mats because I know that I don't have a lot of space on that layout or on that piece of paper, and I want to make sure that you can see the sides of this paper. Now I'm going to get into the rub-ons as well, but first I want to get all 4 photos matted. And this photo is not quite 4x6, and that's because I heavily cropped it trying to get both girls in there and the ability to see that it was Scarlett and Mona in the photo. So it's pretty cropped. It's cropped pretty tightly, and that means that when I printed it, I had to ask it to print to size versus a full 4x6. Otherwise, it cut off words and stuff. So, but that was rather intentional. And actually, my initial thought was to print it about the same size as the 3 photos together, but I didn't have photo paper that was good enough. I have some really cheap photo paper that I'm not likely to use in my albums unless I have to. So Now I'm just scuffing up the edges of my photo mats. I did not scuff up my photos. So I think I've got placement where I want things to go, and I'm going to put the card down there on the right hand side by the lower photo. But first I'm going to scuff up the edges of this card, and I'm going to ink it with brushed corduroy. It is still on my desktop from where I used it the other day, and so why not just get it used? I'm going to be packing up my tiny distress ink pads here shortly to go to We Create. I'm not going to take my entire turntable, although I guess I could. I mean, I'm driving, so it's not like I have to worry about the airline messing up my turnstile for my inks. But first things first, I'm going to pull out my ruler and I'm going to start building this title. And my title is going to have the word freedom in it because the name of Scarlett's school is Freedom Elementary. And I just thought it was cool to include the name of her school on the layout. So I'm using my Omnigrid ruler to line up these letters the best that I can. These letters come apart, like the top layers come apart really easily, and so you have to be super careful about how you handle them. And I do bend that top layer a little bit trying to get them off my Omnigrid ruler, but I wanted to make sure that I got them onto that photo as fairly centered as possible, because this type of letter does not remove easily, especially not on home printed photos. It ruins the photo, it ruins the letter. So now I've moved on to the rub-ons. I love 49 and Market's rub-ons. They are amazing. If you remember, if you're a long-time scrapper, Basic Gray used to make amazing rub-ons back in the day. They were about the only rub-ons that didn't cause a lot of cuss words. They actually came off just as easily as these do, and that is awesome that they do. I even still have some older Basic Gray ones and they still work. So I'm using my bone folder, tipped it over, and I'm using the other side, which I think that's what that's for, but if not, it works. Sometimes I just use a popsicle stick, and I noticed that there isn't a popsicle stick included in this pack of rub-on, so I don't know if that's something that 49 Market has stopped providing in their rub-ons, or if it just got left out of my pack. It doesn't really matter. I have popsicle sticks as well somewhere, but I typically prefer using this bone folder. And I am just gonna be adding some rub-ons here and there on the page just to add some more color to this layout. They're very fun to use, and I really do love these so much. So I've got this border, and I'm just going to add it up here in the top. It's the pattern paper has a similar border on it, and I just kind of added it above it so to give more of it. Again, these just come off like butter. I don't know if anybody else has played with 49 and Market rub-ons much, and I do just adore them. I'm going to pull another hexagon set out, and I can see as I'm playing with these that as I use these I may need to grab another set of these before they are completely sold out by all the people who carry them. And I love that I have access to fall foliage on here, so I don't put much of that on this layout. It's not quite fall yet. I know we always think of school starting with fall, but it's not quite fall yet. We don't have the beautiful colors. The trees and the leaves aren't quite changing here yet. I did see a couple leaves float to the ground while we were at the parade this weekend, but anyway, I am going to build a cluster here, and I pulled off the chalkboard that is on an easel, and I don't end up using that. I just end up tucking it back into the embellishments. But I couldn't decide what I wanted to put there. And then I remembered that I pulled frames from the collection, and I want to put a frame on the middle photo of Scarlett. I actually pulled frames for, I think, 3 of the 4 photos, but I'm only going to use this one. And I'm just going to put it on that center photo, and then I'm going to add some of the laser cut dies to the top of it to decorate it a little bit. I'm going to scuff up the edges. I do not ink this piece. I forgot, and it didn't really need it anyway, so I just scuff up the edges a little bit with my Tim Holtz Distressor, and then I'm gonna go ahead and glue that on there straight away. I had already measured to make sure that the frame would fit on the photo so that I knew it fit well. Sometimes you get these frames and they're not quite the size of your photo and you have to cut them down, and I didn't have to do that for this one. So I've pulled off the chalkboard, and now I am pulling off other pieces. I pulled off this clock and a satchel. I guess you could call it a backpack, but I think that's just a satchel. I'm going to put a couple of the bare light bulbs on the frame, and I believe I put a globe on the bottom of that frame as well. Yes, I do. I pull out the globe there. I'm going to stick that there. Now part of my title is going to end up on that globe, and that's okay. You can still see it and it still looks really good. And so I found a tab that's going to go there, and I end up putting something else. Oh yeah, my journaling tag is going to end up right there as well. And so I've just kind of created a small cluster with my journaling tag and a tab, and I will be putting a piece of twine in the hole. I found this ruler. It's amazing, and I like how it looks, so it's going to end up there. And now I'm going to start putting my title down, and this is kind of where they get bent just a tad, pulling them off the Omnigrid ruler. I have never had much luck of getting them off easily, but this was about as easily as I have ever managed to get them off. So I know that is a 4th of July set of thickers. I bought them at Joann's on sale. I don't buy a whole lot of themed stuff for 4th of July because I typically don't have a lot of photos, but I bought those because I knew that I had some 4th of July photos to scrapbook still, and I needed titles, although I could cut with my Cameo, but for $3 I bought the thickers. So I love these borders and the die cut elements, and I will be cutting this one down. I'm going to put it above the photo like you see me doing here, and it just creates another visual element for you to look at. And I like the border, and I do save the other piece. No worries, I'm not going to throw away that piece. I'll save it for another layout at another time. So for the most part, I'm just going to start gluing things down because I want to get this layout complete. I'm going to scuff up the edges of my tag a little bit. And again, I don't ink the tag. Oh, yes, I do. I lied. I do ink the tag. And so I'm just going to glue that down and get the tab in there. I actually think I might scuff up the edges. Yes, I think I scuff up all of the edges in this particular cluster and just kind of get things laid down in there. These clocks are awesome, and I really love the colors of this collection. They could be I saw somebody use this collection for Harry Potter photos, and I thought that was pretty cool because there are some owls in this collection. I thought that was really cool. But I'm just going to use it for this school layout. I don't typically buy school themed things. I know I homeschooled, but the few collections that I bought that were school themed drove me nuts because it didn't really apply to homeschooling as much. So kind of just steer clear of school themed collections because of that. And that's okay. Sometimes I might find a piece of paper or two that will work, but for the most part, I just use regular collections for school stuff. But when I saw this, I immediately had to have it. I loved it. It's an amazing little collection. It's beautiful. I love the grungy. I love that it's not too juvenile so that you could use it for college stuff, which I have some college graduation photos of my husband coming up to scrapbook that might work really well for with this collection. And I also have 2 more graduations for my own children coming up that I could use this for. So I pulled out more papers than I ended up using for this collection. I pulled out the piece that's off to the right, and I didn't end up using it. And I also pulled 2 pieces from the 6x8 paper pack that I also didn't use. Now I'm going to be adding some apples on here. And I also used some color cast design stars on here that went very well. I really enjoy just layering up some of these embellishments and getting them on this page. And I'm fairly happy with the way that this layout turned out. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to add quite a few smaller details here. I'm adding these apples, and of course I'm going ahead and gluing everything down at this point. Normally I glue everything off camera, but for some reason I'm just gluing everything down. And now I'm going to begin working on finishing my title. I am using foam tape to get these tile style letters on fairly straight. They're still not perfectly straight, but girl, you know, if I tried to stick these on the layout without putting them on foam tape first and expected them to be straight, they so wouldn't be straight. So my title is going to be say goodbye to summer freedom. And like I said, I put the word freedom on there because it's the name of my granddaughter's school, and I just thought it was a decent play on words. She was looking forward to school, so this is not a negative thing. I mean, like any kid, she was sad that summer was going to be over, but before she even went home from my house this summer, she was already studying new math concepts just to prepare herself for school. She's only 10, so she was excited about going to school and learning new things, and she's really, really smart too, so I think it's kind of funny that she enjoy school. That's the way I was as a kid. I loved going to school, loved learning. I didn't love a lot of the kids. A lot of the kids I went to school with were not pleasant to be around. But I guess that's probably everybody's experience. So I'm just kind of getting these tile letters ready to go, and I'm going to cut it off and put the last one on there, you know, off the roll. I buy those rolls of foam tape from Amazon. They're relatively nicely priced. I have them on subscribe and save. Of course I do. And you get 2 of those large rolls. That one is 1/4 inches, and they were $9. And I don't remember if that was the subscribe and save price or it was that's just the base price, but I keep them on my subscribe and save and have them come in as I'm getting low. So now I'm going to be putting some of these little stars. I pulled some of the colors that matched the papers fairly well in this layout. I've got a couple of greenish ones, a yellow one, an orange one, and several of the deeper burgundy color, which goes great with this collection. And I'm using glue dots to put them on. Some of them have the paper on the back of them, and you can see that I'm using my fingernails to scrape it off. I know that you probably shouldn't use yours. You know what? I use my fingernails as tools all the time. Yes, they're thin. Yes, it damages them, but okay. They're just handy tools, so I use them. My daughter always yelled at me about doing stuff like that. I thought it was funny. But I do love adding these pops of texture to this layout and getting these stars on here, because I've pulled them out of the drawer I keep my acrylic stuff in. It's nice to use up several of them. I think this is the 3rd layout that they've ended up on in the past week. It was a nice little baggie, and I purchased them at We Create last year. So anyway, I do think for me the glue dots are the best thing to get them on with. I'm not sure what everybody else uses. You should drop that in the comments below if you use something other than glue dots for adhering. acrylic stuff to your layouts. I'm kind of just curious about that. I grabbed a roll, it's almost gone, of black and white baker's twine. I'm going to add that to the top of my tag. I use a glue dot to glue that down, and that pretty much covers everything that I've done for this layout. All right, I got this layout completely finished. I added lots of little bitty bits and pieces, including some color cast design acrylic pieces that I have. I got my journaling on this little tiny tag, added some twine, put some things up on foam adhesive, and did a lot of layering. This collection is amazing. And I'm going to be honest to tell you, it was hard for me to break into it, but I do love how this turned out. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you are new to my channel, I would really love it if you subscribed, liked, and if you have any questions or comments, you can drop those down below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I am grateful to all of my subscribers. You guys have helped me grow this channel, and without you, I can't do it. And I love to show you what I love, and I love scrapbooking. I enjoy scrapbooking just for the sake of scrapbooking. I love getting my family's memories down. I enjoy the creative process, and I love telling my family's stories. Those things are important to me, and I know that they are important to many of you as well. So if you aren't a subscriber, I'd love to have you. Thank you for coming. Make sure that you check out that playlist below or hop list below, and I'll see you next time. Bye.